No matter what team we are in Football Manager, we always dream of seeing those lovely couple of words in every single season's youth intake preview, the golden generation. Let's try and increase your chances of getting that today in this video. So you may or may not know that there are a few factors that go into increasing your chances of getting this golden generation in your youth intake. But before we go into that, there are a few things that we need to explain first. One, being that this is comparable to your actual team. So if a team like I was managing Plymouth Argyle, my local team, for instance, who rarely have Wonderkids or regens that are any decent on the game, a golden generation may give me a 5-star potential player, but his potential ability may never be higher than say 120 out of 200, which wouldn't get into most of the championship teams. Unless I progress the reputation of the club, I increase the facilities, which we'll talk about in a second, and that will increase the chances of getting better regens at the start of the game. But at the actual start of the game, we will get very terrible ones who may not even get into any championship teams. So always take in consideration the team you're at before you get really disgruntled or you get excited that you have a golden generation and you look at the player and you think, he is terrible. How am I supposed to do anything with this? There are also things that you literally cannot change or alter in the game itself once you have started the database that will affect the quality of players coming through. This including the nation your club is part of's youth rating and game importance. These two things, which in case you want to know can be found in the pre-game editor, basically balances out the world's in-game database. So when a youth intake comes through for every single team across the world, teams from Brazil tend to have better regens or new gens come through than teams say in China. Despite China having a huge population and have more people who play football there than maybe any other country, they aren't as good as the Brazilians who are coming through because historically Brazil have always produced the best youngsters. So depending on what nation you are in, this can actually change. And however, it doesn't mean that you won't ever get a golden generation. It just means, again, they may not be world-class players, which will end up being snapped up by the biggest teams in the world or can play for the biggest teams in the world. You might just have a golden generation for your club in China. Say I'm using China as an example again, who might be one of the best players in the Chinese league, but might not ever go on to be a world famous player. Now let's go on to things that you can actually change and can actually alter. One of these things is part of your staff member. You can see on the screen here the head of youth development. Now the head of youth development is the guy who's basically in charge of bringing through your youth intakes and can make or break a player's chances really early on whether he is going to be classed as one of the best players in the world. We can see, looking at this screen, it has highlighted working with youngsters, judging player potential and judging player ability. Obviously that helps if they are good at those things. However, we've already determined that a lot of this is down to things in your club and not necessarily the staff members. And what I basically mean by that is the staff member of the head of youth development can affect the player's typing and affect the player's personality. Now, I'll go into personality in a second, but what I mean by typing is we can see down here, this head of youth development I have for my side here, his preferred formation is a 4-2-3-1, and his tiki-taka style is his tactical style of choice. Playing style is standard, and he has a second preferential formation. Now, what that basically means and why Football Manager give us that information is kind of saying that majority of the players will be based around that information, and this head of youth development will go out and try and find players who suit the tiki-taka style, who suit the 4-2-3-1 formation and play at a standard playing style. So if you have a certain style or a certain formation that you have locked on in your club and you want to start bringing through players from your youth intakes to join your first team, eventually crack into the first team and be part of that, maybe you want to have a look at the tactical style and the preferred formation and the playing style to see whether it suits your tactic. As a bad example, this is not my preferred formation. It is definitely not my tactical style, and playing style, I play a lot more direct. So I am doing this very wrong. And the other part of the head of youth development is the personality. Now, we all know that to have a good youngster doesn't necessarily mean their personality needs to be good. However, for them to reach their maximum potential, that's when the personality comes in. And having, for example, an unprofessional or an unambitious, even a balanced personality can be really detrimental to whether your player will ever reach his maximum potential. And we have seen time and time again so many different experiments on my channel and many others where this is put to the test, and we can see factors such as hidden attributes or determination, which people thought for a very long time affected it. Turns out it probably isn't, whether game time or everything like that, but personality kind of is the biggest deal. And attributes like professionalism is actually really important to how the player trains and how the player develops. Maybe have a look at some of the best personalities in the world, and it's not rocket science. A lot of you already know model citizen, highly professional, all of those kind of things are the best personalities around for the good youngsters to reach their maximum potential. Your head of youth development should have one of those personalities. And again, looking at my example, I am doing this very wrong. The second thing that you can actually physically change in game, which will help increase your chances, is facilities at your club. And there's 3 things that you can look at during your time at a club which will help increase your chances and help increase the current and potential ability of the players coming through. And we're going to take a look at them step by step. So first off is the youth facilities. Now, contrary to belief a long time ago, this is not what your under 19s actually train with. It's actually what the regens and the new gens coming through use to train as well. So in fact, if you are not staying at a club very long, you might not even need to increase your youth facilities. However, if you're looking for a long-term save, you want to bring through some homegrown talent, then the youth facilities is actually really important. This is basically what the juniors at your club, which you cannot see yet, who will be available to you soon in your youth intake, are using to develop their skills. It's not until they actually come up in the database where they switch from youth facilities to training facilities. So again, if you do get a good youth intake, it might be a good idea to have decent training facilities as well, because again, their progress might be hampered by bad facilities. Next up, we have the junior coaching. Now, the junior coaching is the other side of the youth facilities, where your youngsters who are developing in your youth facilities, they are being coached by people who, again, you cannot hire, and it's behind the scenes and it's stuff before it gets to your stage in the game. And hopefully, maybe in the future, there might be a way that we actually can see that and hire these people. But for now, this is how Football Manager deal with it. Increasing your junior coaching helps develop the players coming through, because they will have better coaches at a younger age, meaning that all the way through their childhood and into their later teens, they'll have better facilities, better coaching. If you improve the youth facilities and the junior coaching, this will come through, and hopefully they reach their maximum by the time they get to you in your youth intake. But there is one more thing which you can do to increase, and that is the youth recruitment. And we go down here, down the bottom, I have good academy coaching and good youth recruitment. Not the best. And what I've really struggled with, you can see here, I'm in 2030 in my youth to gold save. Despite it being a youth to gold save, I have time and time again requested to increase these. And you do that by going to your finances. You can make a board request, and you can see here on finances, I can increase my junior coaching budget. Facilities or stadium, you can ask for better facilities, that kind of thing. Networking, you can improve your youth recruitment. So that's how you basically do that. And unfortunately on mine, they keep rejecting it because they don't see it as a priority. If you'd like to bring through these youth recruitment players, then you need to increase your youth recruitment. This is basically how your club, before they get to you, search for the best players in your area. And this can actually affect like your scouting knowledge as well. If you have really good scouting knowledge, you might see that you bring through players from different nations because you have an understanding in a different country that actually affects who comes through your youth intake. It's rare, but it sometimes happens that you have different nationalities come through. That's when you increase your youth recruitment to a point where they are finding players from different nations. Hopefully, when you have an excellent or even higher, I can't remember what the golden standard is for youth recruitment, but just keep requesting until you cannot request anymore. I think it's state of the art. in fact, that you literally cannot request any higher. This is where you'll bring through the very best players through your youth intakes, and that is how you would basically maximize your chances of getting the best youth recruitment in the world. So hopefully this has increased your understanding of how to increase your chances of that golden generation in Football Manager's youth intakes. Hope this helps. If it has, please consider smashing the like button if you have any other ideas that you want me to cover. And viewers, subscribe to the channel, and I hope I see you very soon for another one. Bye bye.